So, Venomizing Christmas villains. Not much more I can say. Without further ado, on with the show. Sire, good to see you've returned once again.
Yes, sir. Now, have you completed the assignment that I gave you?
You mean the one where you tasked me with experimenting on several festive villains from across the multiverse? Yes, I accomplished it.
And you didn't set off any alarms this time?
No, I did not. I swear, one accidental slip-up, and you lose your faith in me? Please. Anyway, here's the first one. Now, I've experimented on several superhuman individuals, but I've never actually thrown in symbiotes just onto a regular human. So I decided, just for fun, to do just that. But I was careful about the human I picked. In this case, I chose famed terrorist Hans Gruber. Well, he's not actually a terrorist, but I'll explain. Basically, Hans was a German burglar that, along with a group of European robbers, pretended to be terrorists so that they could break into a building and steal all the money from a highly complicated vault system. This was a very well thought out plan, except Gruber did not account for one thing. A fly in the ointment, a monkey in the wrench, one might say.
What? No one has ever said that.
Whatever. As it turned out, there was a New York cop that was trying to fix his marriage with his wife, who worked for the company that they were trying to rob.
Oh, I hope that worked out for them.
They get divorced in movie 4. Anyway, he managed to escape the initial attack and then, single-handedly over the course of the night, managed to kill every terrorist in the building. Okay, technically the cop from Family Matters killed one of them, and his limo driver killed one of them, but most of them he took out himself.
It sounds like you should have given this guy the symbiote.
I had considered it, but admittedly I liked the voice of this Gruber guy more. Anyway, I gave Hans the symbiote right after the cop threw him out of the building. As he was falling, I made a portal, threw the slimy creature in there, and then sat back and watched the results. Immediately, the symbiote latched on and managed to save Hans from falling to his death. It then mutated into a red and green creature, but strangely, unlike most symbiotes, it did not decrease his intelligence. Instead, it only increased his intellect. With his new symbiote, he went on to commit many more heists, becoming one of the most famous criminals in his universe. Now, are you familiar with Mogwai?
I cannot say that I am.
Well, there are these wonderful little creatures from Universe G84. They start off as these little, adorable, fuzzy creatures with brown and white fur and large ears. However, unlike most creatures, these adorable little monstrosities come with some rules. First, they cannot stand bright light, and direct contact with sunlight kills them. The second rule is that they cannot come into contact with water. If they do, they will begin a reproductive process in which they clone themselves. These clones will often be far more chaotic and rebellious than the original creatures right after my own empty heart. And the final rule is to never feed them after midnight. If this happens, the Mogwai will cocoon themselves into green egg-like sacs, before mutating into their fully mature form. In this state, they become larger, with green, scaly skin, sharpened teeth, claws, and other monstrous features.
Wait, you said that they could not be fed after midnight, but that doesn't make any sense. What about time zones? Isn't there always midnight somewhere? Do these creatures' biology adjust to time zones? What about if food is eaten before midnight, but is not digested until after midnight? For that matter, when exactly does after midnight end? Does it end at sunrise, or noon the next day, or the next midnight? When can you even feed these things?
Look, sire, I do not make the rules, I just disobey them. Either way, an irresponsible inventor purchased a Mogwai from a shop in Chinatown and gave it as a present to his almost as irresponsible son. Over the course of the next 2 days, he managed to somehow break all 3 of these rules. Suddenly, the entire town was ransacked with these chaotic gremlins. But, given the fact that there were well over 200 of these things, no one noticed when I took a few for myself. After multiplying and experimenting on them, I finally got the idea to venomize one, to great results. Look here. Now this next one is the reason why I had to build a bigger and new and larger containment unit. As I'm sure you're aware, there's a concept in the multiverse known as universal constants. These are things or people that exist in every universe, no matter what. These include a beginning, an end, basic laws of physics, a variant of myself, and others. Currently, not even I know how many universal constants exist, but one of the commonly accepted ones is the existence of some form of the entity known as Santa Claus. Whether existing in the form of a human, other entity, or even a mythos, some form of this man is seen in every universe. In this universe, he exists as he does in most, as a charitable gift giver to children on Christmas Eve, who lives in the North Pole. However, this version of the North Pole is slightly different, both because the inhabitants can only move as much as the budget allows, and because it holds within it several powerful creatures, including the abominable snow monster. This is a 10-foot-tall primate-like creature with white fur and blue skin. For as long as it's existed, it's been a menace to the North Pole inhabitants. That is, until recently. You see, in recent days, there's a long and complicated string of events that ended with the abominable's teeth being removed. After this, the abominable was domesticated and began working for Santa Claus as an interior decorator.
Oh, you know I did tell you to collect villains, right? This guy seems nice.
I wanted to throw a symbiote onto a Yeti, okay? Anyway, I then broke in, stole this thing, and gave it the symbiote, which, unlike everyone I had discussed so far, it did not like. It tried to pull off the symbiote, but did so in vain. The symbiote latched on and transformed the creature, increasing it by at least half of its already massive size. The monster also gained 2 curved horns at the side of its head, as well as 2 bony blades from its arms. Honestly, it's maybe one of the most strongest experiments that I've done, although the final one could give it a run for its money. For my final experiment, I chose to venomize Krampus.
You what? I specifically told you to not experiment on our allies.
Yes, I see your confusion. Similar to Santa Claus, the Krampus is an entity that appears in many universes, either in person or in folklore. As such, this version that I venomized was not the one we are currently working with.
Okay, that is reassuring.
This specific Krampus is similar to most, being a spirit of punishment. However, it differs from others in many ways. Unlike most Krampus variations, it is far more animalistic in nature, often chasing down its prey like a predator would. It also has an entire army of semi-demonic toys, food, and other Christmas-related accessories at its disposal. Surprisingly enough, this Krampus is also far more violent than our own, but also has been shown to show mercy if the child being punished shows that they have learnt their lesson. So of course I chose to venomize it. The Venom symbiote had a surprisingly difficult time actually infecting this creature, likely due to its overwhelming power. However, something strange happened then, something I have my theories on, but still do not fully understand. The symbiote I put into Der Krampus was black and white, a common color scheme for symbiotes. However, when it finished overtaking the entity, it turned into a dark red and green, two very festive colors. In addition, and far more concerningly, the symbiote seemed to have no control over the entity, only increasing its power. My current theory is that, though the symbiote tried to possess the Krampus managed to possess it instead. Then, with its increased power, it escaped.
What? Where is it?
That is actually why I called you here. It's right behind you.
It's right what?
Also, in case you did not see the community post, the artist adaptation schedule has changed. The next prompt is... But until then, so long, and I will remember you all in therapy.